Well, I'm going to level with you guys, if you will, if you'll have me. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. I missed last week because my little one got sick, and it was just a busy week in general. And I mean, there's still a fucking SD card just sitting here. Sorry. So my little one was sick, and I had to stay home. It kind of messed up my schedule based on all the shoots I had, and I missed a week. I've been pretty good though. I'm not to toot my own horn, and by toot I mean, you know, commend myself for doing something I said I was gonna do anyways. Um, but yeah, I missed a week. I'm back. I have no idea what I'm gonna talk about. I'm just gonna start talking, and I'm gonna keep talking without taking any breaks until a thought pops into my head that seems interesting. Wow, my eyes look wrecked. Allergies have kicked in. I woke up this morning and my eyes were so itchy. It was not a pleasant experience. I just woke up. It's my own fault because I put it out there last night. I was looking at my wife. I go, it's weird. Normally this time of year, my allergies have kicked in. Maybe they're gone. And then I woke up in the morning and my eyes were all fucking itchy. God, I hate being allergic to trees. It's like nature hates me, really. But the feeling is mutual. I also hate her, which is why I consume fossil fuels. No. Um, yeah, I have pretty shitty allergies this time of year. It's only going to get worse. I'm only going to start sounding more and more and more and more congested. Um, but what are you going to do? There are worse things. Funny story. When I'm traveling, I think this is true for everyone. It's not like a me thing. When I travel to other ecosystems, environments, I don't have allergies. It's very strange. I don't know if it's because I need time for my system to like adapt to the new place and then I'd get allergies, but like I've spent 8 weeks in Greece, more than 8 weeks straight, and was not allergic to anything. Uh, I don't even know if they have like ragweed. I know we have it here, but I wonder if natives, like the first people here, I wonder if they suffer from seasonal allergies here, or if they were to move to like Europe, would they have seasonal allergies there? Because it's all genetics, right? It's adaptation to some extent. Man, I sound congested. I'm sorry. What happened in the last couple days that's worth talking about? I don't want to talk about really how Trudeau, the leader of this country, the prime minister, got his liberal government to make a backroom deal with the new Democratic Party, the People's Party, to basically backdoor security for their government up until 2025. And by that, I mean, I don't want to talk about the fact that they made a backroom deal to avoid having a democratic election in case they step out of line. I don't want to talk about that because I feel like that would upset me because there's something about all the words, all the language he used when he announced it that gave me like weird, like North African dictator vibes, like stability, make sure we can do what's needed. That kind of, I don't want to talk about that. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it on the morning show, so I'm going to save my opinions for there so we can argue about it. But the only real, very interesting thing that's happened to me in the last little bit is my new MacBook has arrived. I don't know if I've spoken about this on here. 2 years ago, like right at the start of the pandemic, I was still working remotely, albeit remotely, for a client that I had in the States where I was producing like business aircraft footage content. So as pandemic life settled in and I started doing everything remote, I started to do a lot more heavy graphical kind of work. What am I trying to say? Effectively, I used to, so not effectively, but I used to shoot content and make videos. Now, I lost my ability to shoot because I couldn't go to the States during the early months of the pandemic, right? Well, months, years. So what I ended up doing is recycling a lot of footage that I had, making new videos, doing a lot more After Effects stuff on it to make it, which means it was heavier. And that took my then computer, which was a 2014 MacBook Pro, like spec'd out for 2014. This is now 2020, right? When this is happening, so it's like 5.5 years old when in this part of the story. The computer just couldn't hack it anymore, right? Like it just couldn't. So my wife says maybe it's time to buy a new computer, and I was like, I've heard rumors in the internet that Apple is developing their own silicon, like their own chip, and I don't want more Intel chips because the idea that the hardware and the software and the software itself, like not just the OS, but the hardware, the OS, and the software I'm using would be made by the same developer, being Apple in this case. I feel like that's a recipe for deliciousness. Like, Apple's bad at a lot of things, but they're really good at a lot of things too, right? She's like, so wait. But I couldn't wait anymore. And eventually I caved. And when they announced the latest Intel, the i9 MacBook, I was like, all right, I'm just going to pull the trigger. And I did it. Not a month and a half later, they announced the M1, Apple's Silicon Native, their first new chip. And I was like, fantastic. That sucks. But either way, I'm not going to buy the first gen of something. I never would. It's not like maybe a phone, something I use in my personal life, but something for work, I would never buy a first gen. So I was like, it's fine, I'll wait. And then as soon as they announced the new M1 chips and the M1 Max and the M1 Pro and all that, because they're not M2s, they're M1 Pro and M1 Max, all of my pro software started having issues. Like I said, they're good at certain things, they're bad at other things. So they didn't stop supporting my needs, but I could see it coming. It was in the pipeline. Like some of my pro plugins that are third party started going offline. I had to install, I don't remember what it was called. It's like the inverse of Rosetta. Like the new M1s, they use Rosetta to communicate with old Intel based stuff. It was something else, and I was like, this is becoming a hassle. Then I used one. Someone let me try one with some 8K footage, and I was like, I need this in my life. So I ordered it. It took 3 months to get here. No, 2.5 months to get here. It is finally here. I don't know if you guys can even tell. I'm not sure. I'm recording the way I always record. The only thing I've changed is I've switched from my $250 encoder as a Blackmagic encoder because it was being finicky for some reason. And I switched to like I can't even show it to you. It kind of looks like this. It's like looks like a dongle. It's like a $40 Amazon encoder. The image looks better now. Because there's so much more GPU and CPU power, like the processes in the background. Before my CPU, I could see it on OBS as I'm recording. While I was doing the show, it would be at like 42%. Now it's at like 15. It's like I'm not even using, like it's a much more efficient system. Like I'm not a nerd enough to understand the process, but I know that my footage looks better. I'm also not getting those weird reticulating lines that I get sometimes with the motion blur on my hands. Like it's nice and it looks like I'm shooting in the camera right now. Like I'm kind of blown away that this is all happening through like a $40 dongle, like a little shitty encoder from China. And it's not the encoder, it's the computer. Camera's the same, lens is the same, nothing else has changed. It's just that. So you'd think, wow, okay, great, your podcasting is better, you spent all this money. Sure, I did spend all this money. And I thought I was going to, because every time I update my system, it happens every couple of years, I get an incremental increase in performance. It's not like a night and day situation. This time though, I shit you not, the first time I cut something, I stood up and I was like yelling in the kitchen. My wife's like, "What?" I go, "This is unbelievable." I was like working in ProRes. I mean, a lot of you won't know what I'm talking about, but for the ones of you that do, like ProRes, 422, 10-bit, like full color, 4K footage, high frame rate, 60 frames a second, so slow. I was doing some slow-mo. Normally, I would have had to create proxies, like lower res files, and bring those in like a 420 color space, so it would, a lot of fucking nerd stuff that I have to do just to be able to work with that footage. Forget work, just to be able to view that footage on my system. Like my new FX3, the footage was not playing back on the Mac. Like I needed Catalyst and I needed a bunch of stuff, and then I had to convert it into proxies. I just threw everything in and I edited it like it was 720. If that wasn't enough, I then did an export of like a 10-minute 4K clip, which normally would have taken me 25 to 35 minutes, and it took like 3 minutes. Like that doesn't seem like a huge thing, but when I have to like go back and like, let's say I send a client a version, and I realize at the last second I'm like, shit. I sent them like the pre-final cut, right, just for them to approve, so I can put in all the last stuff. And I realized I made a mistake. There's like a typo. That process, going back and changing that one little line, the A or whatever the typo was, I don't know what it was, let's say, hypothetically, it's quick. Like you go in, you click it, you do it, whatever, you're done. But then you got to export again. So if it's another 25 minutes, it like really slams you down. And I don't like to work while I background export because I feel like it slows things down. 3 minutes. I mean, I got up, I went to pee, drank some water, came back, it was done. So life changing. It really is life changing. Also, stuff that I would shy away from because the system would get laggy, like heavy graphic transitions, like where I'd have text upon layers with like an overlay and then like some cool glitches. I would do it if I had to, but like I didn't want to because I knew the system would start to just crawl and crawl and crawl. Fuck man, I had like 12 layers of like crazy transitions, like stacked on each other because I didn't want to go into After Effects to build it. I'm like, I can just build it from these pieces that I have, and it was fine. It's crazy. It's completely crazy. I mean, for anyone who's never edited video, like when your system hits its limit, like it's not a nice process anymore. It's like it's very jittery, and you're moving your mouse, and it's like, and you're getting the wheel, and you're like, no, please don't fucking crash. I mean, I'm not an Adobe, like I don't use Premiere Pro. I know how. I don't like it. So like I see a lot of memes of people talking about how every time they use Premiere, there's always these like pop-ups like media offline or the system has failed. As a Final Cut user, I don't experience that often. When Final Cut crashes, though, I have to say, in true Apple fashion, when Final Cut crashes, it is phenomenally catastrophic. Like, it doesn't happen often, but if it happens, something's fucking wrong. Like, you're gonna have problems. Um, and there's no warning with Final Cut. It's like Final Cut's like doing its thing. It's like, oh, I'm cutting video, oh, Final Cut's gone. It doesn't give you a notice, nothing. It just shuts the fuck off, and it's like goodbye. The good thing is, I've set it up to like auto save every couple of seconds, and it overwrites temporary files. So like I don't lose footage. Just like I don't get these like pop ups. I just all of a sudden everything's gone. Like the system just closes, because like I said, Apple does certain things really well. In this case, efficiently working, and certain things really badly, like crash reports. It just crashes. Do you want us to send it to Apple? You get the little pop up. No, what the fuck? Apple doesn't care. I probably did something crazy. Like I have some weird backroom Russian fucking plugin I bought like 5 years ago, and I'm like, maybe this still works. Who knows? But yeah, it's incredible how technology, how fast it's changing. Like I bought this now. It's already like old because they just came out with the Ultra chip, which looks. I mean, I don't need the Ultra chip. I'm not building. I'm not building 3D backgrounds and environments. I don't do AutoCAD work. For what I need right now between my camera and this computer, I'm extremely happy, and I think I will be for at least 2.5 years. At the end of 2.5 years, I'll probably start seeing stuff that I'm jealous of, but I'll still be more than comfortable producing content, like high quality content I'm doing. Even my A7S that I've had for like 6 years now, my Mark II, I still use it. I still use it. It still looks phenomenal. It has its, what's the expression? Shortcomings. Is that the right term? Anyways, I mean, it has limitations to what you can do with it. But the image, like on like a tripod, sorry, I just kicked stuff. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's still phenomenal. I still use it as a second camera. It matches the first one. Sorry about that. So it's just like how long, like how often do you have to change your system? Like how long can we keep this up for if technology is moving so quickly? Like at what point am I like, oh, I'm good for a few years? Because I have no idea. Is it going to be like iPhones? Because it's not the same investment. Like $1,000 is still a lot of money for a phone, but I mean, $1,000 every 2 years. I mean, it seems to be that's the going rate right now, right? For a phone. But I'm not paying it up front. I'm like amortizing it through my plan and paying it off and whatever. Like it's like a monthly thing. It's almost like a lease. Everything's a fucking our whole life. Our lives have become subscription based, and it's hard to understand. Even this like buy now pay later stuff. Like you can just buy stuff and pay it over the course of a year with no interest because algorithms are calculating how likely you are to repay, but you're repaying it on your credit card, which is then you're just racking that up. Like it it's weird. It's like how do you even manage your money anymore, right? But for my business, sorry, I don't know what's going on. I was drinking coffee and I put too much sugar in it and it's making me drool. So if I'm like slurring, it is delicious though. I don't normally put this much sugar in my coffee, but it's like literally making my mouth water. So what was I saying? Oh God. Losing your train of thought on a podcast when you're solo is the hardest thing. I don't know. yesterday we did a podcast for 3Economics, that project I've been working on, and I was a guest on that show because we had some issues with the Zoom recording from the actual guests. So we apologized to them. We're like, look, we're not going to be able to air the footage. And they were like, no problem. We'd love to do it again. We said, okay, we appreciate that. We apologized again. So we jumped into the studio and we did like a one-on-one, me and Mike. And I realized how, so like, I was sitting, right? Like, I mean, we're talking. He's sitting in front of me. And the camera's off to my left. We shot in the morning show studio, like the Mike Ward Theater of Dreams that we have here. And I've always wanted to put better cameras. And by better, I mean like cinema quality cameras, my cameras, the ones I use, not camcorders like the ones most podcasters use. I've always been curious to put those in that room to see what it looks like. Obviously, we would not do that just for that room. It seems like overkill. It doesn't make any sense. You'd end up spending like $25,000 for like 2 cameras and 2 lenses. It's a dumb solution, right? Because what we have works beautifully for what we do in there. But seeing it like that, I was like, wow, it's nice, And because I don't know, maybe because of the way I was taught how to work, I don't tend to do the kind of stuff Poseidon would do, for example, which is probably a good thing most of the time. But like, I didn't run it through the system. I just put 2 cameras up, I pressed record, and I started going. I checked the frames, they looked okay, but one of the cameras stopped recording at some point, and I have no way of knowing because I have no way of monitoring that, right? And I was just like, man, it's so stressful, like, to not have, because like now it looks like I don't know what it looks like, to be honest. Like, now it looks like I'm talking to the viewers, but like, I'm just looking at myself. It's weird, right? It's actually a very uncomfortable experience. I don't know if I know a lot of people have experienced it lately with like all the Zoom meetings and stuff like that. But like, it's not healthy to look at yourself all the time. And like, I sit and I analyze and I microanalyze like all these little weird things that I do when I'm on camera, and it just drives me crazy. And I'll like fixate on like, I don't know, like, I didn't put like the line in my beard is crooked, or I gotta stop, putting my tongue at the edge of my mouth, or don't bite your lip, or you're blinking too much. And like, maybe I am blinking too much. Actually, yesterday's episode I was blinking a lot, but it was really hot in there. That's probably why. I was probably like, fucking stressed out. It's too hot. But I'm just like, having done that now, like now producing, because I haven't really produced a lot of other podcasts for other people that I'm not directly involved in, right? I do a lot of talking head stuff where they're sitting and they got like a lav mic on here. But podcast interview stuff, like, it only became a service that people really started asking for in the last year and a half. Before, nobody, like, I would tell people we were doing podcasts, they're like, what do you mean, like on the radio? I'm like, no, not like on the fucking radio. Excuse me. So watching it, it's like this thing that I do, this 45 minutes sometimes. I don't think I'll make it to 45 minutes today. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm going to level with you. I'll probably do like a half hour. It's harder than it fucking looks. And I listen to so many podcasts that I watch someone do a solo run like this, and it looks fucking effortless. And it makes me wonder, I'm like, do I come off as effortless, or does it look like I'm fucking floundering on the deck? And I think it's probably the more often than not, it's the latter. I'm like flipping around trying to find ideas. But in trying to figure out how to teach someone or to help them be more comfortable, to direct them to do this, like, because Mike sometimes has to do solos, and solos are tricky. Like, through research, I realized that like what I'm doing is considered a stream of consciousness podcast. It's probably more of a vlog than the vlogs of YouTube 5 years ago were, because I'm literally just, I'm logging my thoughts and opinions on a specific moment in time on video, right? But I remember when I used to vlog and I used to make these little scripts just so I can have an idea what I was going to do. Nothing complex. When I mean little, I don't mean like they were cute. I just mean they weren't very in depth. They were just a bit of structure. And then I would have to do all this fast cutting, and I was like, what am I fucking doing? I'm spending like 5 hours, 6 hours on this thing. To what end? Like, it's not even enjoyable. Like, as a, like, Neistat, Casey Neistat, the whole system, the whole ecosystem of vlogging that he built, like, I know it doesn't really exist anymore. No one's really doing that as much, the daily vlogging. But it created like this unattainable, unsustainable model for vlogging. And then I feel like the natural next step was these types of pieces of content, like video logs that are podcasts. Because if I want to do an hour vlog the way he was doing, I need to shoot for an entire day and then I need to edit for hours. I'm not saying it can't be fun, but it's not sustainable. You can't do that all the time unless you're making direct money, like it's directly monetized. And if it's not, it's a big fucking investment to try and get it done. Whereas this, I mean, I record for as long as I'm recording for. Everything's permanently set up on my desk. I mean, this is my third camera. I leave it here. There's a light right here. That's it, really. The microphone's always around. I just grab it and set it up, and here I am. If I record for 30 minutes, I record for 30 minutes. Yeah, sorry, I just had a sound issue I had to cut. But yeah, if I record for 30 minutes, I record for 30 minutes. It takes me 10 minutes to just kind of assemble it. And now with the new powerful chip, I mean, the export, no matter how long I do, is what, 2 minutes? I'm done. I've done it. I set out to do something that I did. It didn't take up my entire day. It doesn't mean that I have to take time away from working with clients, reaching out to new clients, like business development. Doesn't mean I have to take away time from delivering on projects. I still have time to hang out with my kids. Like, it's not a huge time investment, which is why it's so crazy that sometimes I just don't have time to do it. But I mean, that's a testament to how many things I'm doing at the same time. Actually, a few clients of mine recently, because we're spending more time together because we're working on longer projects, they're like, how do you fucking do everything? And I was like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that much. They're like, do you sleep? I'm like, I sleep lots. Maybe not soundly or straight through the night because I have kids, but I sleep. It's, there's not a lot of time for, I mean, in the lifestyle that I have right now, there's not a lot of time for doing random stuff that doesn't produce something. I don't know if I said that right. Like, I'm a little jittered because like I'm having sound issues from next door, and I can't go complain to the guy because all he's doing is having a phone conversation. Like, it's not his fault, but I'm pretty sure our walls are made of wax paper at this point. Like, that's a pre-existing wall. The wall on my left here, it was here when we moved in. Like, we built the space this way. And I know we always complain about like noise, but this is like, I can hear the guy's phone conversation. It's super weird. I'm gonna go speak to the building. I wonder if they could even do anything. Like, I don't know. Could you soundproof, retro soundproof a wall after it's already up without like, I can't have fucking construction in here. I got things going on. I just spent a whole 2 minutes talking about how busy I am. I'm gonna shut down my studio so they can fix a wall that they should have fixed initially. It's crazy. It's really crazy. I'm pretty sure the mics can't pick it up. Like, I stopped and checked, so it's just distracting for me. But little things like when you're as busy as we are here at the studio, and you have so many different moving pieces, the idea that I'd have to stop because somebody is having a phone conversation, like, it messes up your flow, and it's upsetting. There's no other way to say it. It's upsetting, and it just messes up the vibe because like I've built this, like, this is my space where I create stuff, right? It's my office. I work at the desk. I make videos. I edit. I shoot my podcast. I have like a little chilling area behind me, and then there's like my gear closet, and then there's a whole studio where I can shoot client work. I really should mute my computer when I'm doing this. I always forget, but like the idea that I have to stop sometimes because of like an unforeseen. I understand if it was like once a year that something happened, like, it's fine. But it seems to happen so often that it's very frustrating. I have no better word than it's very frustrating to describe it. But there's a lot of moving parts in the week. Like, it's tricky. So shit, I just saw the time. Yeah, that little pause that, I mean, none of you experienced because I had to stop and go see what was going on. We're starting the morning show in a few minutes, so I have to end this podcast earlier than I would have liked. I would have liked to do that extra 10 minutes. I don't know how long this is right now because there's 2 recordings. I hope it was at least entertaining, like it got you through a drive or maybe a shower. I've started listening to podcasts while I shower. It's a nice experience. I got one of those like waterproof speakers for Christmas. I tend to always listen to the same stuff though. Like, anyways, that's a different conversation for another podcast. But I don't know. Try me in the shower. See how how it works out for you. My name is Phil Balabanos. If you want to make some videos, if you got a business that needs videos, if you know someone who needs videos, send them my way. I will take good care of them. Send them to balabanos.com. This has been Phil My Hole. I never did the intro, I realized. But that's okay. I mean, no one's on top of me. It's my show. I can do what I want. So we'll see you guys next week. I'm going to go do the morning show now, and it's going to be a fustercluck, I'm sure, as always. And have yourselves a good week or a good end of the week or have a lovely weekend. That's what I'm going to leave it at. Goodbye. You've been listening to Fill My Hole. This podcast is available on YouTube in its full video form. If you're lazy and you don't want to Google it and you don't want to search on YouTube, balabanos.com, hit the podcast section. You can subscribe directly to the RSS feed there. My name is Phil Balabanos, and I'll see you next time.